My wife stood at my 60th birthday party, champagne raised, and smiled at 100 guests. Michael and I are selling the farm. Richard's 60 now and struggling managing $3 million in property at his age. Irresponsible. We found a buyer. We close in 2 weeks. She squeezed my shoulder. I know Richard will be relieved. He's been such a burden on himself. It's time to let go of his father's legacy and finally live. My son Michael nodded. We're doing this for you, Dad. Trust us. 100 people applauded. My best friend Bill shouted, "About time, Richard." I sat there staring at my cake and said nothing because 72 hours earlier I'd found the forged deed in Michael's desk, found texts between him and my wife calling me a pathetic old man clinging to dirt, found their plan to put me in a nursing home. And because my father, dead 5 years, left me a video with clear instructions. When they try to take the farm at your 60th birthday, play this for everyone, let them announce it publicly, then destroy them. I stood, walked to the TV and inserted a USB drive. Dad left me something to share. My wife's face went white. My son's smile cracked. For 8 minutes my father revealed everything. The fake deed, Susan's 12-year manipulation, Michael's gambling debts, the nursing home plan. By the end, my wife was screaming, my son had bolted, and I was dialing 911. This is what happened next. Like, subscribe, comment your city, let's get into it. My name is Richard Coleman. 3 days before my 60th birthday, I drove to my son Michael's Philadelphia apartment to drop off boxes of his childhood things. He wasn't home. Susan had given me a key for emergencies. I put the boxes in his spare room. That's when I saw his desk drawer open, a folder visible inside labeled Coleman Farm, Private. Inside were deed transfer documents with my signature, except I'd never signed anything. A purchase agreement with Ridge Development Corporation. $3 million. Closing. August 15th. Then the text printouts. Susan to Michael. Your father looked pathetic today, struggling with the tractor. He can barely manage the property. We need to move before he ruins it. Michael to Susan. The forged signature is perfect. Once we announce at his party, he'll be too embarrassed to fight back. Who'll believe a 60-year-old over his own family? Susan to Michael. After the sale, I file for divorce. You pay off gambling debts, we split what's left. He ends up in Meadowbrook Assisted Living, Memory Care Unit. Michael to Susan. Does he actually have dementia, or are we just saying that? Susan to Michael. Does it matter? He's old, forgetful, struggles with technology. I've been planting seeds with neighbors for months. Richard's so confused lately. They'll testify if needed. I read those texts 3 times, trying to make them mean something different. My wife thought I was pathetic. My son thought I was a burden. They'd forged my signature and were planning to institutionalize me. My son, the boy I'd worked 80-hour weeks to send to college debt-free. The boy whose gambling debts I'd paid off twice without telling Susan. My wife of 35 years. The woman I'd proposed to under an oak tree my grandfather planted. Then I remembered. My father's last words. I left you something in the safe deposit box. Instructions say when to open it. I drove straight to the bank. The box contained 1 USB drive. For Richard, open when they tried to take the farm. My father's face appeared on screen, healthy and strong. Richard, if you're watching this, Susan and Michael tried to take the farm. I've known they would for 10 years. 10 years. 12 years ago, Susan came to me privately, asked me to sell the farm and split the money. Said you were stuck in the past. When I refused, she suggested making Michael co-owner. I said no. That's when I knew she'd eventually try to take it from you. He held up a document. The farm isn't in your name. It's in the Coleman Family Trust, established 1994. You're the trustee, but you cannot sell or transfer it. Michael doesn't qualify. Susan has 0 legal claim. He leaned forward with that look I recognized. The expression went out maneuvering business rivals. 15 years ago, I created a fake deed. I told Susan, casually at Christmas, that I kept the original in my desk drawer. What I kept there was an expertly forged copy with no legal standing. Despite everything, I almost smiled. If anyone uses that fake deed, they're committing fraud. Multiple felonies. I documented everything. It's all sealed with my attorney. His voice softened slightly. Richard, I know what you're feeling. Betrayed. Michael is your son. Susan is your wife. But they don't see you as family anymore. They see you as an obstacle to money. His face darkened. Michael came to me 2 years before I died. Asked me to declare you legally incompetent so he could take the farm. When I refused, he asked if I'd cut you from my will. He said Dad's not smart enough to manage real wealth. I felt punched in the chest. Here's what you do. Let them announce it at your 60th birthday party, make it public. Then play this video for everyone. I'm going to tell them everything. The fake deed, Susan's manipulation, Michael's incompetence request, the nursing home plan, their gambling debts. Then call the police and press charges. His expression softened one final time. Son, you didn't lose them because of what you're about to do. You lost them years ago when they decided your father's legacy was worth more than their integrity. Now destroy them completely. The video ended. I called my lawyer immediately. My lawyer confirmed everything. The trust was ironclad. The fake deed was documented. Their plan constituted multiple felonies. You could confront them privately, he said carefully. No, they plan to humiliate me publicly. They get the same treatment. I called my daughter Jennifer in Colorado. I need you home for my birthday. It's important. Is everything okay? Not yet, but it will be. She arrived the morning of the party. As guests filled our backyard, I played my part, the grateful husband, the proud father, the aging farmer ready to slow down. At 7 p.m., Susan stood with her champagne glass. Everyone, Michael and I have an announcement, we're selling the farm, murmurs from the crowd. Let's be honest, Richard is 60 and struggling, managing $3 million in property at his age. It's irresponsible. My neighbor Ed called out, Susan, that seems harsh. No, Ed, it's reality. I've watched my husband exhaust himself for 5 years, clinging to his father's legacy like it means something. It doesn't. It's dirt. Time he faced that. People looked uncomfortable. Michael stepped forward. We found a buyer. The sale closes in 2 weeks. Dad will finally be free to enjoy retirement instead of being trapped pretending to be someone he's not. Bill stood up. Wait. Richard loves that farm. Like button if you're enjoying this. Let me tell you what happened. For generations of farmers who accomplished nothing, Susan said coldly. My husband is 60 with nothing to show but a falling apart farmhouse and land he can barely maintain. We're ending this farce before he embarrasses himself further. Silence. Jennifer stood, pale. Mom, what are you talking about? Dad's not struggling. Your father has memory issues. He forgets things, gets confused. I've been covering for him, but I can't anymore. He needs professional care, not a farm. I watched Jennifer process this, the confusion, the disbelief, the horror as she looked at me and saw I wasn't surprised. Dad, is this true? I stood and walked to the TV. No, sweetheart, but your mother's been telling people it is for months. Haven't you, Susan? Susan's face flickered. Richard, what? I found the texts, the forged deed, everything. Michael went white. My father left me a message to share. I inserted the USB drive. Everyone's going to watch this. Richard, stop. No, sit down. I hit play. My father's face filled the screen. Hello, I'm Thomas Coleman. If you're watching this, Susan and Michael just announced they're selling my farm. Here's what they didn't tell you. They're trying to steal it using forged documents. The deed they have is fake. I created it 15 years ago to catch anyone attempting this scheme. Gasps from the crowd. Susan came to me 12 years ago asking to sell the farm. When I refused, she began a decade-long campaign to undermine my son. I have documentation of every conversation where she told neighbors Richard was confused, forgetful, struggling. He pulled out papers. Michael came to me 2 years before I died, asked if I'd declare Richard legally incompetent so he could take the farm. When I refused, He asked if I'd cut Richard from my will. Dad's not smart enough to manage real wealth. Jennifer made a sound like she'd been struck. Michael stood. That's a lie. Sit down, I said. My father continued. Susan and Michael forged Richard's signature on deed transfers. They planned to sell to Ridge Development for $3 million. They arranged to put Richard in Meadowbrook's memory care unit against his will. They forged documents claiming dementia. He held up a folder. I have copies of the forged deed, texts between them planning this theft, documentation of Susan's manipulation, proof Michael has $600,000 in gambling debts he'll pay with stolen farm money. The crowd erupted. My father's voice cut through. By using a forged deed to sell property they don't own, they've committed multiple felonies. Real estate fraud, conspiracy, elder abuse, forgery. The police should be arriving now. He leaned back. Richard, I'm proud of you. You love these people. They betrayed you, but you're a Coleman. Colemans protect what's theirs. The screen went black. Every person stared at Susan and Michael. Susan shook. This is insane. He wasn't senile, my lawyer said, standing from the crowd. I was present when he recorded it. His doctor was present. It's legally admissible. Michael bolted. 2 officers waiting by the fence stepped into his path. Michael Coleman, we have a warrant for real estate fraud, conspiracy, and forgery. Susan screamed. No, Richard, I'm your wife. You were my wife. Now you're someone who tried to steal my father's legacy and destroy me. The officer approached Susan. We have a warrant for your arrest. She turned to the crowd, desperate. Please, he's lying. Richard's been confused. Ask anyone. I spoke to your neighbors, my lawyer said. When I told them you fabricated stories about Richard's mental state, they were horrified. Mrs. Patterson said you tried to make her notice Richard's confusion at church. She thought you were concerned. Now she knows you were manufacturing evidence. Susan crumpled as they handcuffed them. Jennifer stepped forward, crying. How could you do this to Dad? Susan sobbed. Michael looked at me once, not angry, just empty. Dad, I'm sorry. No, you're sorry you got caught. They were led away through 100 witnesses. After everyone left, only Jennifer and my lawyer remained. How long have you known? Jennifer asked. 3 days. You went through with the party anyway. If someone's going to betray you, make sure they do it in front of witnesses. Lies die in sunlight. The trial took 7 months. Susan claimed she was protecting me from declining mental state. 3 doctors showing perfect cognitive function destroyed that defense. Michael claimed he thought the deed was legitimate. Forensic analysis proved he personally commissioned the forgery. The prosecutor was brilliant. This isn't family dispute. This is calculated theft from a vulnerable man on his 60th birthday. They forged documents, planned institutionalization, manufactured incompetence evidence for money. Guilty on all counts. Susan, 5 years federal prison. Michael, 6 years. At Susan's sentencing, I gave my statement. I married you 35 years ago, believing we'd grow old together. Somewhere along the way, you decided my father's land was worth more than our marriage. You spent 10 years undermining me, manufacturing incompetence, so you could steal my inheritance and lock me away. But you forgot. My father taught me to trust documents more than words. You underestimated me. Now you'll understand the cost. At Michael's sentencing, Jennifer spoke. Our father raised us to value integrity and family. My brother forgot that. He tried to steal from the men who gave him everything. He deserves this punishment. A year later, I stood on the land my great-grandfather bought in 1924, watching sunset over Coleman Farm. Jennifer had moved back permanently, helping run the farm. We'd started farm-to-table programs, turned the barn into an events venue. The land was thriving. Susan was released after 4 years, moved to Arizona, got a job at a hardware store. She sent one letter asking for help. I declined. Jennifer blocked her. Michael served 5 years, was released 3 months ago. He sent one letter. Dad, I destroyed everything for money I never got and didn't deserve. Grandpa was right about me. I wasn't worthy of the farm. I'm not worthy of the Coleman name anymore. Sorry doesn't fix what I broke, but it's all I have. I read it 3 times, put it in a drawer, didn't respond. Some betrayals don't get second chances. On my 61st birthday, Jennifer threw a small party. Just close friends, no surprises. Later, she asked, "Do you regret it? Sending them to prison?" No. They didn't just try to steal land. They tried to steal my identity, competence, freedom. They were going to lock me in memory care. That's not a mistake, that's evil. That night, I watched the video one final time. At the end, my father's expression softened. "Richard, you didn't lose them today. You lost them years ago when they decided to become people who could do this. That's on them, not you. You're a good man. You're going to be fine. The land is protected. The Coleman name is protected. You're free from people who saw you as an obstacle instead of family. Now go live the life they tried to steal. I'll be watching, and I'll be proud." The screen went black. I walked outside and looked at stars over 4 generations of Coleman land. My great-grandfather's land. My grandfather's land. My father's land. My land. And someday, Jennifer's land. Protected. Thriving. Permanent. They thought turning 60 meant I was weak. They forgot Coleman men plan for every betrayal, document every lie, and when someone tries to destroy us, we don't get angry. We get even completely. If this story moved you, if you felt the betrayal, the justice, or the redemption deep inside, please take a moment to hit like. It tells me this story mattered. Share your thoughts in the comments.